Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to the She Can Ball podcast. I'm your host, Mahi Jariwala. Today, we're joined by former WNBA player and Stanford All-American Val Whiting. How are you? How's your quarantine been?
Great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So, I want to begin talking a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today. So, tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, and how did you first get into basketball?
I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. Well, I was born in North Jersey and then moved to Delaware when I was 8 years old. And I got into basketball by accident. It was in middle school, seventh grade. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I was getting bullied a lot, and I thought being a cheerleader would help make the bullies stop because it seemed like the cool girls did cheerleading, and the boys like the girls who did cheerleading. So I tried out. I was actually, pretty tall for my age, probably around 6 feet tall,
Okay.
and I got cut. And I believe that day or a few days after, my math teacher said, "Hey, would you like to try basketball?" And then that's how I started. I didn't have a path where I always thought I wanted to be an athlete. I never thought of athletics, especially then. It wasn't the thing for girls to play sports. And both my parents played basketball, but they never really exposed me to the sport.
Was there like a certain age or something that you started really realizing like this is something I really like to do?
Probably between the summer of ninth grade and 10th grade, I went to, back then you didn't have to play AAU to be seen by coaches. You can go to basketball camps where college coaches would come see you and watch you go through drills and play games. And I did really well there. And after that camp, I got my first letter from Princeton University.
Wow.
And from there, it motivated me. I thought, well, somebody sees that I'm good. Maybe I am good. And I took off from there.
Yeah, and then you were saying like a lot of the girls just did cheerleading and the boys did basketball. Did you ever get bullied for playing basketball?
No, not that I can remember. Um, that's interesting because I was really bad in seventh grade. In eighth grade, I would shoot for the wrong team when we switched baskets, and then I would have an open layup and shoot over the backboard. So I don't I don't recall unless I'm suppressing that memory.
Yeah, that's fine. And then how did you end up at Stanford?
Oh, that's an interesting story. When I was in ninth grade, my dad took me out to Colorado Springs to the Olympic Training Center for a national team tryout. Back then, anybody could go to a national team tryout. You didn't have to just be invited.
Oh, okay.
And so apparently the focus was to show me other women like myself that were tall, and strong.
Yeah.
But I was out of my league. There were people that I looked up to, like Cheryl Miller was there, and different Hall of Famers that are Hall of Famers now.
Yeah.
And I got my butt kicked. And when you go to those trials, you get a number, a jersey, and you get a number, and then they put your number up on the wall if you made it. And if your number's not up on there, you got cut. So it was the first round of cuts was for that afternoon. Oh no, 2 days. And I looked up and my name was in there. And I started crying, which was ridiculous because I did not belong there. I was not even close to being good. And the Stanford coach saw me crying. She told me this years later. And also she noticed how well I backpedaled, which was weird. So I always tell kids that, saying you never know who's watching and you never know what a coach is looking at.
Exactly.
A lot of times you think a coach is watching how many threes you hit or how many points you score. They're watching some of the intangibles, how you react to adversity. Oh, how are you backpedaling? Which that's still odd to me.
And you had an amazing college career, so many great awards, Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, Stanford All-American. What do you think was so special at your game that differentiated you from your others?
I think growing up, I'm from the East Coast, and the East Coast brand of ball, more gritty and physical, and I played for men a lot. And I brought that physicality to my team at Stanford. I remember breaking one of my teammates' noses. My dad just always taught me how to use my elbows, and I was just used to it, protecting myself when I played against
Yeah.
guys. So that's how I played. And I think that's what distinguished me, my intensity, but also my footwork was really good as a post player. And I did the small things well. I wasn't really fancy, but I was effective.
And you said that you were very tall and you were stronger than most other girls. Did you ever have like a lack of confidence because of that?
For being tall, yeah, it honestly took me a long time to like being tall, and probably not until into my adulthood that I liked my height. Because even when you are an adult, people still make comments about your height. And when you're in high school, negative comments, or in college, it wasn't anything ever positive associated with my height besides basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only place I actually felt normal, was on the basketball court.
Yeah, but that's amazing that kind of basketball was that place that you felt right. Stanford, just amazing academic school. How are you able to balance academics and basketball during your collegiate career?
That was tough. My major was biology. I was pre-med, and it's hard because it's a very competitive major. It was actually, I don't know how they rank majors, but it was the top one in the country with the biology department.
Wow.
And I had another teammate on my team that was pre-med, and we were in some of the same classes. Sometimes we could study together. They had note-taking services.
Okay.
There was no internet, so I couldn't watch class. I couldn't watch recordings. It's great to have notes, but being in person was the best thing.
Yeah.
So it was difficult because some note takers were great, some note takers weren't great. I remember taking midterms and finals on the road. Every year, the Final Four was around finals week. So I would play a game. I remember playing a game, the Final 8 game, we win it. We're going to the Final Four, but I had to go back home, back to my dorm and study because I had an organic chemistry final the next day. So it was really hard to come from being so high, we're going to the Final Four, and bringing myself back down so I can study for my final.
Yeah. And then how was kind of your experience playing at the WNBA?
I mean, it was cool because playing in the NBA arenas that you see on TV, like playing in the Garden,
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden was amazing for me. And then playing in the Forum, where the Lakers played,
Yeah.
that was cool as well, except for one road trip we played there. The rodeo was there before we played, and the whole place smelled like horse manure. And they were like flies in the arena. So that's one memory they couldn't clean up good enough for a women's basketball games. I will never forget that, that trip.
And I know that you kind of struggled with mental health problems during your WNBA career. When did you first start experiencing mental health problems?
I probably first started experiencing it 1995 after I was cut from the national team. But I thought it was just situational. I didn't realize it was something that unbalanced.
Uh-huh.
But 2000 was like the first time 1999 was the first time I had to actually take time off. I was on the injured reserve on and off when I played for the Detroit Shock. Like some days I didn't even want to practice, so I couldn't practice. And then the year 2000, I didn't even go back to the WNBA because I was too depressed to play. So that was the first time I thought I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah. And how did you kind of get through that? And I know that can be hard, especially like you were saying, basketball was something that was kind of your escape and where you felt like you were yourself. And when that kind of turns and mental health takes over, it can be hard. And so, yeah, how did you kind of get through that?
I think I didn't get through it until probably many years later. So I would go through cycles of feeling bad and then feeling great, and then playing, not doing the work I need to do, like going to therapy or getting medical treatment for it, and then stopping because I felt better.
Yeah.
Which wasn't, I'm not a psychiatrist or a medical doctor, which I shouldn't have done. And so during that period, I never really recovered. So that's why I always say I played my career with undiagnosed bipolar depression because I didn't even know I was bipolar. I knew I had depression, but I didn't know the bipolar side of it. And I thought that if I, exercise and move and, basketball, I can just play through it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're an athlete, you are taught, and it's almost applauded. It is applauded if you can play through an injury. Oh, she's tough. Oh, she sprained her ankle and she's still running on it. And when you have a mental illness, it's invisible.
Yeah.
So things are going on with you. And from the outside, people are like, well, why is she, not performing? Why is she not as explosive? And honestly, I didn't feel I had anyone to talk to about it. And I was embarrassed because you're in warrior mode when you are a professional athlete or any kind of athlete. You are not to show any weakness.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I even think now, like coaches, oh, if you sprain your ankle, all right, you sit out. But with mental health problems, there's not enough emphasis on it. And like you're saying, it's invisible and people just can't see it. And it's hard, and especially back then, especially because now I think it's changing and we're going towards more learning about mental health and how important it is. But back then it wasn't, right?
It wasn't. I had a sports psychologist I was working with when I took my season off, and he was telling me, you need to come out about this. You can help people. You need to come out about this. And I wouldn't. And I was like, no, I am not going to share this. And I was terrified to have anyone know. So actually the first time I ever even spoke about my experience playing was in a TikTok video. I never told anybody before until that TikTok video that was this year, 2020, 20 years later.
And how did you kind of get into TikTok and like why did you start that?
I started TikTok last December because I wanted to speak to athletes. And then I did a couple TikToks, not on my own. My son did them for me. And then he dropped me as a client because I was like too high maintenance. and so I was like, oh, this is too stressful. I can't think of ideas by myself. So I stopped. And then the pandemic hit. And then I started back up again. And I was just scrolling through the For You page, and I would land on different female athletes, basketball players. I would see the comments, the hate in their comments towards them.
Yeah.
And I would, I reply back, against the hate. Hey, keep your head up, queen. And then after that, I changed my whole account just for female athletes. I call myself the hype woman for the female athletes. Sometimes I say that I'm the CEO of empowering female athletes. So that's how it all got started again. So I've been going pretty hard since March.
Yeah, and you've inspired so many amazing female athletes and you highlight them on your page. That's amazing. That's how I found you, and I thought it was really awesome what you were doing.
Thank you.
And so can you tell us a little bit more about your life skill program that you have for female athletes?
It is more of a mentorship program. A 6-week, I'm mentoring 5 to 10 young ladies, and it's not physical skills. It's the mental skills that are needed off the court, off the field to be successful. Whether it's learning how to eat better, the benefits of having gratitude, developing a growth mindset. So that's what it's about. So every week we have a coaching session, and then they have homework, which is pretty light. And then they have unlimited access to me by text and email. It's a lot of the stuff that I wish I knew when I was your age, that I didn't figure out until, years after I stopped playing and I had a chance to interact with younger female athletes. So that's the program. It's going to kick off January 2021. Unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist, and it should have been out a while ago, and you can't make it perfect. So it's just going to drop whether it's perfect or not.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm excited for it. I did a mini one, like a mini summit back in September for an hour and a half. I compressed 6 weeks worth of learning in an hour and a half. It was crazy. It was a Zoom call. It was fun, but it just wasn't enough time.
Yeah. And, why do you think female athletes lack confidence, and what do you think they can do to kind of boost their morale?
I think female athletes, and this is when I get DMs and I get text messages and comments, and majority of people, probably 8 out of 10, it's female athletes are lacking in confidence. Motivation, that's the same all aboard. It's male and female, it's just equal. But female athletes, it's confidence. And sometimes I hear it coming from, oh, I want to play basketball, be good at basketball, but I get made fun of at school by the boys because I'm a female athlete. Or someone has, a setback and they don't know how to recover from it. And I don't know why it's probably it has to do with a societal thing where being strong and being a woman is not always looked up to or treasured.
Yeah.
And so being a female athlete, it's like we're the opposite of what we should be, and we don't always get the support we should get. If you even think about the support of women's sports compared to men's sports. And what I tell athletes how to overcome not having confidence is, first of all, the biggest thing is for me personally was preparation.
Yeah.
Am I prepared? Did I practice? Did I put the work in? That's it right there. Falling back on past victories. What past victories did I have? Okay, that's another confidence boost right there. I've done it before.
Yeah.
Right? Thinking about other people who have done it and how they've done it. Just, I encourage kids to read books of people they look up to and look at the qualities those people have and how can you relate them to your life. But confidence is the main question I get. Like every day I get that question 1 or 2 times a day. How can I increase my confidence? I don't think I'm good. She's better than I am. I want to quit. So confidence, I wish if there was a magic pill that had confidence in it, I'd be like a trillionaire. Because that is it right there.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to, with Rebound, that's what I want to teach young ladies. Because I struggle with confidence, and a lot of times we see these professional athletes and we feel like they don't struggle. They never had to go in the game when your team is up 30 and your coach puts you in with 60 seconds to go. Like
Yeah.
I've had that experience before. I know how that feels. I know how to hit your ego. So it's just mainly how I felt. I've been there. Yeah, I was a pro, but I know exactly how you feel. Like in Rebound, it's all about that. It's about rebounding from setbacks, but also rebounding is tenacious and going after your goals.
Yeah, that's so true. And you brought up a great point there. Even like sometimes you might be on a team where you might not get the most playing time, or you might be on like the lower seat on the bench. What advice would you have for people that might be going through something like that right now?
Well, don't make the mistake I made and quit. In my case, asked to be traded, pushed through. A lot of times when you have the most adversity is when the biggest breakthrough is around the corner, right? And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to go in when your team is up 30 and your coach puts you in with 90 seconds left. But I was in this training a few months ago, and this guy was really wise. He said, all these setbacks, all these obstacles are just part of your story. And this is just another chapter in your story that you can tell someone one day how you overcame it. And if you quit too soon, you will never know how this chapter ends in the triumphant story you can be telling someone to help somebody else. So that's the advice I can give someone. It's not easy. Life was never meant to be easy. It's never fair. But we can control 2 things, and that's our attitude, how we respond to setbacks, how to respond to adversity, and our effort, how hard we work.
Yeah. And that's a huge reason that I think why I make this is because we look at people and we just see the accolades, right? We just see, Pac-10 freshman of the year. We just see this, but we don't see what's behind all of those and what actually happens, because I think most of the times, especially with us female athletes, I feel like there's not enough support, right? And the people that are coming on and sharing that they've had these experiences too. And these WNBA players have been the last seat on a bench somewhere. And just because you're going through that right now, and I've been through that, and I think I kind of escaped through that because I started joining another team. But sometimes I do think, what if I stayed and persevered through, like you said? Why do you feel so passionate about helping female athletes?
I don't know, because I'm a mom of 2 boys, It's just the weirdest thing. Maybe because I see myself in them. I know how I struggle with my self-esteem. I know the effect bullying had on me long term, that I just wish I had, we got our parents. Oh, you're beautiful. That we don't listen to our parents. I wish I had somebody else to say, hey, queen, you got this. You're strong. You're beautiful inside and out. And I just want to be that person for someone.
Yes. And you're doing that for so many girls, me included. I love watching your TikTok. I love following your Instagram. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you're following us on Instagram at she.can.ball, and I'll see you all next time.